Animal traditions are sometimes so heartbreaking that you'll be forced to shed tears from your eyes. Living in the wild is not easy, and oftentimes animals have so strict rules and traditions that make us truly wonder how many more surprises the animal kingdom has on hold for us. From furious predators to soft-natured creatures, here are the worst animal traditions that are heartbreaking. Nobody mourns their loved ones better than the giant of nature, elephants. They may be huge and intimidating to us, but they're a real softie at heart. Elephants are huge in size, and their thick skin acts as armor to protect them against any dangers that may be lurking in the wilderness. For weapons, they have their tusks that are feared by almost every animal in the wild. Underneath all this, the elephants have huge, delicate hearts. They are the only animal that are able to cry actual tears. Elephants have actual feelings, and they are extremely sensitive beings. They are one of the very few mammals that have the ability to show emotions, empathy, and emotional intelligence. It's very obvious that they actually feel by observing their behavior in any emotional situation. Goldenberg did extensive research on the complexity of elephant thought, perception, and their response to death. They even made a 15-minute video on this, which is available exclusively to National Geographic for the first time. The video effectively shows and explains the elephant's nature and the strength of their social bond. In the clip, we can see Victoria, an elephant that passed away laying still on the ground. There are 3 other elephant families that were passing by, and even though they're not related to the deceased, they linger over her corpse. This clearly shows the compassion the elephants have for the other members of their species. Other than elephants, dolphins, chimpanzees, and a few other animals have this ability to show emotions. However, the response the elephants have toward a loved one passing away is still a mysterious aspect. To most people, penguins are fun, adorable, and happy-go-lucky birds living in the freezing cold of the Earth's polar ends. What most people don't know is that these cute little birds with their distinctive penguin coats have one of the worst animal traditions in the world that will make you cry. You see, penguins may seem happy and jolly most of the time, but they are very unwelcoming towards their other penguin visitors and predators. The young penguins are full of energy and life. Remember the famous animated cartoon Pingu? The cartoon about a penguin family gives us an idea about how active the younger ones can be. So since they're always teeming with energy, it's obvious that they go here and there exploring different areas. The group that the young ones are supposed to stay in is called a wattle. Sometimes they get far away from their own territory and venture into the territory of another group. That's when the trouble starts. Penguins don't like to share their territory, and as a result, the young explorers are very unwelcome, and sometimes the adults in that wattle start to peck and bully them, even to the point of terminating them. Take a look at this clip. Here this poor little penguin is getting violently pecked by the adults around it. The pecking continues until the penguin falls to the ground, bloodied and lifeless. The interesting fact is that the adult penguins nearby don't seem to mind the relative at all. Scientists have been searching for the answer to why the adult penguins are particularly aggressive towards the young members of another wattle and not the grown ones. They believe the reason for that is that the adult penguins are very territorial and the young ones are just toying around in their space, which they don't appreciate. The poor little fellow is simply at the wrong place at the wrong time. Losing someone you care about is painful for everyone, even for monkeys. At least that's how it looks like by observing some of the chimpanzees' behavior. Some of the chimps are seen to have been caring and even grieving around the corpses of their fellow chimps. Some mother chimps are even seen carrying their deceased infants for days after their demise. It's truly heart-wrenching to watch. However, it takes more than just guesswork to convince scientists. They think there might be a possibility that the mother monkey doesn't realize that her infant passed away. One thing is for sure though, there are no other animals that have been seen carrying their deceased children like that. According to anthropologist Peter Fashing of California State University, there's been no evidence of any other primates apart from monkeys displaying this kind of compassionate caretaking of extremely sick or passing away individuals. Another study done by researcher Bruna Becerra from the University of Bristol in the United Kingdom also shed some light on the subject. They had been watching the marmoset group in northeast Brazil that was comprised of a pair of dominant male and female monkeys. When the female monkey fell off the tree, her male partner showed a number of affectionate behavior, such as embracing her, sniffing her, chasing other monkeys away, sitting by her, trying to copulate with her, and emitting alarm calls that they normally use when they're in danger. A few months after she passed away, the male monkey also disappeared from the marmoset group, never to be seen again. But if you want to keep seeing interesting new videos like this, then don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons, because we release new videos regularly just for you. If you suddenly found out that Po, the famous panda, has a twin, don't be surprised, because as it turns out, about half of all panda births end up in twins. Pandas are amusing animals with a very sad reality that most of us don't know about. If you're confused about how this could be a sad incident, keep watching to find out. As soon as this mother gave birth to the twins at the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding, the keepers very swiftly removed one of the cubs to try to trick the mother into thinking that she gave birth to one. This may seem like a cruel thing to do, but it's for good reason. This is to make sure both cubs survive. You see, the mother pandas don't have enough milk or energy to take care of both her babies. Pandas live on bamboo with very little nutritional value, which makes them too weak to take care of more than one cub. So they focus on the strongest of the pair, leaving the other unattended, which most of the time ends in their demise. To avoid this unfortunate situation, the keepers use a little sleight of hand to keep both cubs alive. Right after the birth, the mother is distracted with a bowl of honey water while they remove one of the cubs. This makes her think that she only has one baby. To maintain this illusion, the cubs are switched places up to 10 times a day. While one is with their mother, the other is kept in an incubator and fed formula milk. This little trick takes the survival rate of the pandas kept in captivity up to 100%. That said, it's not an easy task to coax the panda to give up her baby. It takes great patience from the keepers while they negotiate with the mother with the bowl of honey water while they try to remove the child. Eventually, with time, she begins to trust the keeper to take care of her babies. Among all the things that white swans are associated with, such as light, grace, beauty, and purity, there's one thing that they are most known for, and that is love and companionship. White swans are also a symbol of feminine beauty and softness, and have had many operas and ballets written for them. On the other hand, black swans are most seen in occult symbolism. In many cultures, white swans are often connected to the loss of love, and this story perfectly shows why. There were 2 swans lost on the high-speed railway in Germany. While trying to figure their way out, one of them passed away by getting caught in an overhead power cable. What happened next is something that can only be defined as the truest form of love. The deceased swan's partner sat on the railway track beside its body and started mourning. When the officials got to the site, they tried to lure the surviving swan out of the railway track, but it refused to leave the side of its companion. Finally, the firefighters had to lift the bird off the track to save its life. Swans really mate for life, and this story is the proof of it. The Swan Sanctuary says once the partner of a swan disappears or passes away, the remaining mate grieves over it just like humans do, and stays still at that place for a long time. After that, they either find another stretch of water to live in or join a flock. Since horses have been a trusted companion of humans for centuries, it only makes sense that they too feel grief and happiness like us. Horses have the nature of forming lifelong bonds with humans and their horse partners. Where there is a strong bond, there is the grief of losing them. According to the 1960 theory of John Bowlby, attachment is hardwired, adaptive, and critical to an individual's survival, be it a human or any other animal. If we consider the theory, then horses too will feel grief if they lose their buddy. Many horses even show obvious signs of distress upon separation, and grief upon loss, such as waiting for days by the gate through which their buddy disappeared, exhibiting reduced social interaction, or appearing depressed. In some horses, their eyes seem empty, their expression of joy becomes almost non-existent, and sometimes they even refuse to eat anything. The horses become much quieter and a lot less active overall right after the loss. It's not only the loss of a buddy that can make them sad, changing owners might also take a toll on their mental state. If your horse friend seems depressed, make sure to make him spend time with another horse that he enjoys being with. Good company always lifts up the mood, horses and humans alike. Who doesn't love a dove? They are the symbol of grace, peace, gentleness, and divinity. The dove's soft, graceful looks, white plumage, and gentle cooing are enough to make any heart melt. They're quite emotional birds as well. This clip shows the heartbreaking reunion of the dove parents and the passed-away chick. The dove couple used to take turns in guarding the nest and feeding the chick. Males usually guard the nest during the day while the female searches for food. In the evening, the male bird leaves as the female returns. It was depressing to watch the male dove trying everything he could to revive his children, but to no avail. Doves are great parents. They do everything together from building the nest to incubating eggs. They work hard to keep the young alive. It's no wonder they will be depressed if their chicks pass away. In many cases, doves are believed to mourn the loss of their partner. They make mournful, haunting, and sad sounds when their partner passes away. Among wild animals, chimpanzees are supposedly the most closely related to humans, and just like us, they aren't always super friendly with their fellow chimpanzees. Especially not when it comes to power. The gruesome incident on the screen took place in 2013 in Senegal. There's a corpse of a chimpanzee on the ground, all beaten, bloodied, and partially cannibalized by the members of his own group. Chimpanzees' aggressive nature toward each other isn't that uncommon, and they often engage in intense fights between different groups. In this case, however, this poor chimpanzee was finished off by members of his own group, which is quite rare. In fact, this incident is only the 9th recorded case of a chimpanzee community taking the life of one of their own, as described by the International Journal of Primatology. Another case like this happened in 2007. In Fongoli, a 10-square-mile patch of savanna in southeastern Senegal, Faduku was the leader of about 30 western chimpanzees. Things seemed fine until a rebellion took place against his rule and banished him to Fongoli's outskirts. That's where Faduku lived in exile for 5 years before he faced his ultimate demise at the hands of his previous group members. The most logical explanation for this unfortunate incident is the competition over power. According to Michael Wilson, a University of Minnesota anthropologist who studies chimpanzee aggression, chimpanzees follow a social hierarchy and are led by the alpha males and coalition of male allies. While females of one group leave for other groups when they reach reproductive maturity, the male members stay in their groups forever, facing conflicts over social power and shifting alliances. If anyone can film their lives closely, this could be a hit soap opera. The term lone wolf is one that we've all heard at least once in our lives. But behind this popular term lies a much less popular and tragic reason that will make you really sad. Wolves usually travel and stay in packs. They follow a strict and defined hierarchy, and the members of the pack are super loyal to it. At the top of the pack, there is a dominant pack leader. They are a complex social group, and they stay like that for a good reason. Staying in packs makes hunting much easier and fast. After all, the more the merrier, right? Apart from hunting small prey at the peak of the season, wolves almost never hunt alone. They can take down animals way larger than themselves by latching onto either their nose area or limbs and bringing them to the ground. Despite the popular misconception, wolves do not hamstring the animals to cripple them. If they attack an animal, it's because they want to eat it. After the hunt is over, the alphas eat first, and then the food goes down in the ranks of the pack hierarchy in turn until the entire animal has been eaten. So in short, living in a pack makes life a bit easier for them. That said, there are, like we mentioned at the beginning, the lone wolves. An individual wolf can't be underestimated by no means. They are also great hunters and well able to take down an animal on its own. The reason that these wolves leave their pack is the same worst tradition that we saw in lions. These poor animals have to leave their pack if they ever want to build their own pack or family. If you walk down a road in the morning, even in a city, one bird that will probably always show up on your path is the crow. They are among the first few birds that have adapted to the pollution and noise of city life. Crows can be many things, such as the unpaid janitors of the city, but one thing they are not is forgetful or forgiving. Yes, that's right, these scavengers are great at taking revenge and remembering faces. Zoologist John Marzolf did research on them with his team at the University of Washington. They trapped, banded, and released 7 to 15 American crows at 5 different sites near Seattle. The interesting fact is, before trapping them, the researchers wore different masks at different sites. While the crows were caged, the free crows around the site circled it and sounded alarm calls. Then the team moved on to the most interesting part of the research, which is testing the birds' reactions to the specific masks for each site. When the researchers wore the mask that they wore while capturing them, for the first 2 weeks, 26% of the crows that the researchers encountered scolded with a harsh, repeated caw, accompanied by a wing and tail flicking at their captors. Some of the crows even mobbed the researchers by squawking at them. On the other hand, when the researchers wore a different mask, the crows didn't react aggressively at all. This proved that these birds may be more intelligent than we thought, and they can actually remember faces. As time went on, more and more crows joined the vengeful enterprise, with a 30% increase within 1 year and a 66% one in 3 years. But they couldn't jump to the conclusion just yet because there might be a possibility that the increasing number of aggressive birds might just be following the leaders that the researchers initially trapped. To find the answer to that question, they paid attention to how the newborn crows that were born after the trapping incident reacted to the masks. They discovered that the little ones also took part in the scolding when they saw their parents doing so. Even after the parents left the nest, the young crows continued to scold the masked enemies. This is truly a groundbreaking discovery on amazing animal behavior. So by now it's pretty much obvious that it's not only humans that feel emotions. Other animals and birds feel it too. There have been many scientific pieces of research in ethology, which is the study of animal behavior, that has proven to us that there are far too many emotional animals than just us. In this video particularly, the sad animal we see is a male bird. He is painfully edging closer to the deceased female bird, which was his partner. The clip clearly shows how heartbroken her lover is. The male is gently pecking her while he chirrups, as if he's urging his companion to wake up. The bird parent filmed the reaction of the male bird while they were getting ready to say goodbye to the ladybird. Even though we can't say for sure if the male bird was truly grieving his lover, we can at least say that his behavior pattern makes it very probable that he really was distressed. Just look at how he turns around to see his tiny deceased companion and launches desperate attacks on his pet parent's hand as he takes the body away. While we're on the grieving topic, let's talk about our favorite domesticated predator, the cats. Remember the famous rumor that your cat might eat your body if you pass away? Well, we wish we could say it was completely false, but what we can say is that most cats probably won't do that. Take a look at this cat for instance. Its owner had 2 cats, one of which, Chewy, expired after her long battle with jaw cancer. Instead of hiding the unfortunate news from her cat friend, the owner decided to show him the body. She did it so he wouldn't go off looking for Chewy, because that might cause him to get lost or run over by some car. Even though the big boy seemed fairly unbothered by the next day, he did go closer to her and said goodbye. In fact, this was the first time he ever got so close to Chewy. When it comes to grieving their loved ones, cats are kind of hard to read. Some cats may be completely unaffected by the loss of their companion, and some even become happier. But with some cats, it's the opposite. They undergo personality or behavioral changes. According to a survey done by the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, some cats ate less, slept more, and became more vocal after the loss of their companion. The good news is that almost all 160 household cats that they surveyed went back to their normal self within 6 months. A mother's nature stays the same no matter the species. In this video captured by Explore.org in the National Park, we see a very painful sight. When one of the cubs of this mama bear fell ill, she and the other cubs stayed with it on and off for the next 2 days. On the evening of October 23rd, the sick cub finally lost its life. The video actually starts on the morning of October 24th. The mother and surviving cubs stay up and alert while the mother tries to get a response from the deceased cub. They stay beside the body for a long time until finally the mother gets up to go fishing for her and the other cub. Meanwhile, 3 National Park Service bear techs arrive in a boat to get the corpse to run a necropsy to identify why the cub passed away at such a young age. When the mother and the other cub return to the empty spot where the deceased cub was, they stay there for a long time. Then they finally start to track the route through which the body was taken by sniffing its scent. And not so surprisingly, they arrive at just the right spot where the body was loaded onto the boat and carried away. The clip goes to show that even nature's most dangerous of animals grieve and take care of their loved ones. Elephants are generally soft-natured animals that don't take part in aggressive behavior. That's why the conservationists at the Pilanesberg Game Reserve came across one after another rhino corpse with evidence that pointed towards the elephants. They had a hard time believing it. After all, they are creatures that literally cry if their loved ones pass away. How can such empathetic animals do such a thing? The conservationists realized that someone or something was systematically killing rhinos after they found several corpses in completely beat-up condition. When they took a closer look at the site where the attacks took place, there were several pieces of evidence that the elephants may have been involved in this. The rhinos had gaping wounds that were shaped like elephant tusks on their backs. Many had broken ribs and internal injuries that could only be caused by an animal significantly larger than them. There were trees upturned and trampled, which is a telltale sign that elephants have been there. That said, elephants don't attack rhinos, so the rangers were still reluctant to believe that the elephants were behind this. But after they found elephant footprints at the site, they could no longer deny the fact that the offender here is in fact an elephant. The serial offender elephant, or elephants, has almost 10 rhino victims. Among them, 4 were beyond a doubt terminated by them, and the other 6 corpses were in such a bad condition that it was hard to confirm the cause of their passing away. But according to the region's chief ecologist, Greg Stewart Hill, there are strong reasons to believe that the other 6 also had fallen victim to the same culprit. Now, the scientists face the baffling question of what drove the otherwise calm animals to attack the rhinos like this. Maybe they lost their cool or were just too hungry? What do you think might be the reason? Let us know in the comments below. With great power comes great responsibility. Nobody relates to this quote more than the jungle's king, the lion. Lions have one of the worst and most heartbreaking animal traditions in the animal kingdom. Before getting into what the tradition is, let's quickly go over some statistics first. On average, there are about 2 to 3 lionesses for every lion in a pride, despite male and female numbers being fairly equal at birth. Each family unit of the lions is called a pride. So in simple words, there are way more females in the pride than males. Now, the question becomes, what happens to the rest of the male members of the family? The answer to that is the strict tradition that mighty felines follow. When the male lions are still very young, they leave their pride to take the place of another male in his pride, often by fighting the other male. On the other hand, the female lions stay in their pride their entire lives. The lion family is strategically structured with male and female members having different responsibilities to take care of. The lionesses are the primary hunters of the family, making sure that the cubs are well fed and taken care of, and the male members have the responsibility to protect their pride against all threats. While the lionesses are busy hunting antelopes, zebras, wildebeest, buffalo, and other grassland animals, the lion roams the jungle to protect the pride's territory. When a male member of a pride passes away, the whole pride can fall apart. The whole family becomes vulnerable to outside threats and other male lions, which almost always ends in the demise of the cubs and some other members of the pride. When a new male coalition takes over the pride for the first time, the cubs are a big hindrance to their reproduction. Mothers of surviving cubs do not mate until their kids are at least 18 months old. If their cubs are lost, they mate again within days. As a result, new males refuse to be stepfathers and kill all the cubs in their new pride. The lion gets expelled from the pride when he reaches old age. Losing the pride is definite death for every lion, because they're unable to hunt independently. Lack of food makes them frail, making them easy prey for hyenas and other predators, or they pass through a tragic death. This is undoubtedly one of the most unfortunate cycles of nature. Whales are one of nature's biggest navigators, so when they got stranded in a group and landed on a beach in New Zealand, it baffled scientists. While the people there were trying to encourage more than 70 pilot whales to return to the sea, the expert marine biologists were scratching their heads figuring out why this rare incident took place. This kind of incident is becoming more and more common these days with single whales or with pods. The most commonly found ones are the beak-nosed whales or pilot whales like we saw in Northwest Auckland. This has become an international problem, and it's getting more and more important to solve the mystery of why these expert navigators are intentionally getting stranded in shallow water. According to a 2001 study by the Bahamas Marine Animals Research Organization, there might be a relation between the mass stranding of beak-nosed whales in the northern Bahamas and naval sonar maneuvers in the area. This indicated that the sound effect of the sonars may cause stress in the whales, and that might lead to mass beaching. This may be the worst animal tradition ever, since it puts their lives at threat. As for the individual whales, they can beach themselves for a variety of different reasons, such as genetic mutations, illnesses from infections or parasites, injuries from predators or entanglements in fishing gear, and old age. However, the researchers are still trying to figure out the reasons for the stranding. The biggest whale stranding in history happened in 1946, when 835 orca whales stranded themselves near the city of Mar del Plata in Argentina. The incident was documented in the Encyclopedia of Marine Mammals, but it didn't document why this happened. Do you have any ideas about why this might have happened? Let us know in the comments below. Which one of these worst animal traditions touched your heart? Have you seen any of them happening in real life? Let us know in the comments below. Like always, if you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a big thumbs up and leave us some love in the comments section. To keep up to date with all of our awesome videos, be sure to hit subscribe and turn your notifications on to never miss a thing. Until next time, do take good care of yourself.